This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, recognition of Resource Center employees. Joining me is Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center, to sort of preview the ceremony you're about to hear some excerpts of. Steve, thanks for inviting me down to your administrative offices once again.
Oh, thanks for coming, Dennis. This is an event we hold every year. We do two things at this Service Recognition Award. We pay tribute to employees who, during the previous calendar year, completed a 5-year milestone of employment with the Resource Center. So we'll be recognizing people this year who have been with us for 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 40 years. And then the other thing we do is we give out our annual Major Employee Awards. So we'll be giving out our Trainer of the Year Award, our Award for Excellence in Providing Direct Support to People with Disabilities, and our Employee of the Year Award.
Well, let's go right to the ceremony now. I think Nikki Risker is just stepping up to the microphone now.
Once again, I'd like to welcome you and thank you all for joining us in the 30th Annual TRC Service Award Recognition Luncheon.
Nikki Risker is the Director of Human Resources at the Resource Center.
This is actually always one of my very favorite events because it's the one time where instead of just seeing names as an HR person, I'm actually for a couple of hours able to put faces with those names. But I am proud to announce that this year we have 161 awardees ranging from 5 to 40 years of service, and they have cumulatively provided 1,890 years of service to TRC in support of its mission. So congratulations to all of you and thank you. And before we go further, I would also like to ask that we give a big hand to the HR department staff, especially Carol Rowland, who worked very hard to coordinate this event for us. So thank you very much. And now I'll pass the mic over to Paul Chisana for some comments.
This is Paul Chisana, the Executive Director at the Resource Center.
Thank you, Nikki. And as Nikki said, I think that we really enjoy this event a lot because it's both a sense of history as we look at people who have literally been with this organization, not just for years, but for decades. And also it's kind of nice that we attempt to pay attention to each of the individuals that are recognized. So we hear a lot of personal stories, and sometimes some of the people that come up here are a little apprehensive because they don't know exactly what those stories are going to be all about. And it's interesting also, like when we think, for example, of the fact that Nancy will be honored for 40 years, 4 decades of a contribution to not only the organization, but to literally probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that have come to the organization.
Paul Chisana, Executive Director at the Resource Center, making reference there to Assistant Executive Director Nancy Ingram, will be honored for 40 years at TRC in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
And going back to personal stories, I do remember back then coming back to the Resource Center and seeing Nancy as one of those fancy titles of vocational evaluator, and the one that really had like a very key role in the process of providing the assessment and the plans, although the plans were somewhat informal back then for all the people that were coming through then, those work activity centers. They were so much part of the agency. I remember my own little story of when I first had the opportunity to provide a service. I was a student, and I was told to go to a place in East Aurora. It was a community residence. I never even know where the place was. I was just hoping my car would take me there. And it did. I was supposed to do a night shift. And, of course, no orientation, no training, never met the residents. And eventually, I felt very good that everybody went to sleep. I was just hoping that nothing would happen through the night. And I couldn't wait, for sunrise and sunbreak and daybreak to come, hoping that nothing would happen in between. So it's really interesting that when we look at what we have gone through as individuals, as professionals, as people that have been part of the mission of the organization, we see what has happened through the years. So much has happened, so many different things have occurred. And yet, there is something that really remains as a constant. And that's people such as yourself who have probably gone through your own personal crisis, through maybe departmental upheaval or changes, organizational ups and downs, and we can all relate to that. But somehow you have continued with your perseverance. You have ensured that you made this kind of your own professional objective and your own sense of dedication and commitment. And that's why we're here, to make sure that we don't take that for granted, that we have an opportunity to recognize you, to say how much we appreciate what you've done, what you're doing, the many people that are part of that are recipient of your dedication and commitment and service, and the families and the entire organization. So we're here to say thank you. We appreciate everything you've done and you're doing, and we hope you'll continue with the same sense of dedication, because that really supports all of us, especially when we go through some tough times. So congratulations. And at this point, it's my privilege to introduce the chair of our board of directors, Dr. Todd Jacobson. Todd?
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be here honoring our employees for their many years of service. It is your acquired expertise, training, and experiences that really make TRC such a wonderful and successful organization. As TRC parents, we know that it takes a special kind of person to take care of our children. You are all that special kind of person, and we appreciate you and everything that you do more than we can ever tell you. Thank you.
Chair of the Board of Directors at the Resource Center, Dr. Todd Jacobson. We don't have time to name all the people who were honored during this 30th Annual Service Award Recognition Luncheon. Suffice to say, 56 people were honored for 5 years' work at the Resource Center, another 56 for 10 years, 15 for 15 years of service, 17 for 20 years, and these 9 people for 25 years of work at the Resource Center. Greg Bender, Sherry Carnes, Lori Carudis, Donna Eddy, Beth Germain, Katie Knack, Joanne Schrock, Karen Silsley, and Karen Williamson. And 5 people honored for 30 years of work at the Resource Center: Kathy Constantino, Bruce Jackson, Donna Lundmark, Lisa Nelson, and Louise Parker. That brings us to 35 years. And once again, Nikki Risker, Director of Human Resources at the Resource Center.
In 1979, the following 2 people joined the Resource Center and are going to be recognized for 35 years of service. Diana Meckley. For the past 35 years, Diana has served TRC in a variety of capacities, and for the past several years was responsible for developing, implementing, and overseeing a records management process for the agency, which, as we all know, was no small task. As I was reviewing Diana's background in preparation for today's ceremony, what struck me the most about her is her obvious commitment to personal and professional development. In addition to holding 2 master's degrees, Diana's file is also filled with many certificates from programs and trainings that she has participated in throughout her tenure. During her participation in the Dale Carnegie training, she received the Outstanding Performance Award. In June of 1980, Diana received the Employee of the Month Award for the positive, warm, and constructive relationship that she established with all residential clients, house managers, and staff, and for her commitment to advocacy for those served by the Residential Services Program. In 1986, Diana was recommended by TRC for the NYSARC Jonathan Weingold Scholarship, and in the application packet, she was described over and over again as a bright, dedicated, considerate, and hardworking professional who has demonstrated a lifelong commitment to serving the disabled, all qualities that still accurately describe her today. Congratulations, Diana.
A little later in the day, I spoke briefly with Diana Meckley. 35 years at the Resource Center. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How has your life and your work changed over the years here? A lot?
Oh, tremendously. Back when I first started at the Resource Center, I was involved with the group homes, and that's what we called the residences for individuals with disabilities. And everything is moving forward to much more community integration and independent living and independence in the community. It's great.
You would probably be an ideal person to speak to the following, though. The importance of this institution to our entire community. You probably see that in some unique ways, considering your long tenure here and the roles that you have played.
Absolutely. The Resource Center plays a tremendous role in the community, more than many people know. There are so many individuals that literally would be on the streets, so to speak, or alone at home with nothing to do, or unable to receive health services, or unable to locate employment in the community without the Resource Center. It's just tremendous. And the number of people that the agency has worked to assist has just grown exponentially over the years. And as there's fewer and fewer funds or support, the Resource Center always finds a way to do what it can to help meet those needs.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Nikki Risker noted earlier in the program there were two employees celebrating 35 years at the Resource Center. One of them was Diana Meckley.
And Stephen Strom. While many of us can barely remember when Steve wasn't a part of the computer department, for many years he was an important member of the day services team. In 1994, Steve was accepted as a presenter for the New York State Association of Day Treatment Providers Symposium, selected to share highlights of the novel programming offered by TRC's Day Treatment Program, of which he played a pivotal role. In 1993, Steve was nominated by his supervisor for the Employee of the Year Award. Some of his accomplishments that were cited in the nomination letter included the very innovative and creative programming, which includes community involvement designed to enhance independence and integration. Steve shares with the program participants his interest in cooking, nature, dance, and music, and brought program participants to retirement homes in the community for Christmas caroling, as well as leading his group's participation in the community garden program. Steve formed a computer committee to explore the use of computers in day treatment programming and helped develop and maintain a nature trail on Jones and Gifford that was enjoyed by many. In December of 1992 and July of 1993, Steve and his co-workers received the Day Treatment Team of the Month Award. As part of the IT department in 2009, he and his co-workers received agency-wide recognition for their efforts in ensuring minimal disruption during hundreds of office moves. In addition to his many work-related accomplishments, if there was an award for knowledge of old movies, particularly scary old movies, and possession of related memorabilia, Steve would most definitely receive that honor as well. Congratulations, Steve.
Following the conclusion of the formal celebration, I spoke briefly with Steve Strom. Because you were honored for 35 years at the Resource Center, does it seem that long?
No, it doesn't.
What is the nature of your work today?
Work in the computer department, managing the help desk.
And you started out, though, in another aspect of the Resource Center.
Oh, yeah. I started in '79 working in the workshop, training individuals to do piecework for Trucklight and for Blackstone. And then moved on from that to the Foote Avenue ICF when that first opened up. And then went from there into day services, worked in day services over at Jones & Gifford for 16 years, and then started with the Resource Center's computer department after that.
Maybe you'd be the ideal person to answer this question. What is the relevance of technology or high technology to the work done by the DSPs every day? Is there a connection?
Oh, yeah. Right now they're involved in doing as close to real-time documentation of services and needs of the individuals that they work directly with every day.
Steve, thanks again and congratulations.
Thank you, Dan.
Steve Strom there. Now back to Nikki Risker and the ceremony at the Resource Center.
And we have one more service award to give for 40 years of service. we know the big highlight for TRC in 1974 was the hiring of Nancy Ingram. 40 years. How does one begin to even capture what someone like Nancy has accomplished and contributed to TRC since her hire in 1974? First of all, we can point out that of the 161 awardees this year, a whopping 61 of them weren't even born when Nancy was hired. From their perspective, Nancy has literally worked here for more than a lifetime. But what a lifetime it has been. For many, many years, Nancy played an integral role in the Work Center and Rehabilitation Services programs, working her way up to Director of Rehabilitation Services and eventually to AED of Program Operations. Whatever challenge has been placed before her, Nancy has embraced it and demonstrated an unwavering willingness to do whatever was needed by agency leadership, staff, families, and most importantly, those served by the many programs offered by TRC. In addition to her program leadership, Nancy has been a driving force behind and put the special into many TRC-sponsored special events, including TRC Expo, resident camping at Camp Aniasa, and the monthly dances held at Dunham Avenue, just to name a few. I don't think that there is a special event held by TRC where Nancy doesn't either serve on the organizing committee, volunteer her time, or both. In 1981, upon receipt of her Employee of the Month award, Nancy was described as consistently demonstrating a high level of professional expertise in her work, and under her supervision, her unit has provided the highest quality of service. It was largely due to her efforts that TRC's evaluation service has developed into one of the finest programs in all of Western New York State. In her 40 years of service, Nancy has left an indelible mark on TRC and the many people that she has served and worked with, and I think that I speak on behalf of all of those people when I say we are grateful to her and are all the better for having known you. Congratulations, Nancy.
As Nancy Ingram, Assistant Executive Director at the Resource Center, was introduced, there was a spontaneous standing ovation.
Oh, yeah, you can speak.
Now, what is there to say? I got nothing. Thank you all very much. It's been a joy. I wouldn't have missed any of it. It's just been great. So thank you.
I caught up with Nancy Ingram after the program for the following interview. Nancy Ingram, you were recognized today for 40 years of employment here at the Resource Center, and your name was announced and the crowd rose to its feet.
I was so overcome by that, Dennis. It's nice to know that you have had some impact, and I'll tell you, over the whole 40 years, in good times and in more difficult times, I have always been aware of the fact that what we do here makes a difference, that what we do is worth doing, and that has gotten me through it. And to get that kind of recognition from my coworkers today was exceptionally moving.
Your job on day one, when you first came here 40 years ago, was what, Nancy Ingram?
I was a supervisor in the work center, in the workshop, which was the only program we had at the time. We had a small work center on 3rd Street, downtown Jamestown. I was a workshop supervisor. I and 2 other young women were hired. And then a few months later, I moved into the vocational evaluation job. I didn't know what it was. They got me a few books to read. And at that point, the agency really started to grow. It coincided with the institutions across New York State closing and all the people coming back to their communities. And everybody was wanting the workshop program.
And your work here has just grown from then to becoming an assistant to the executive director.
Correct. Semi-retired right now, as you know. Working part-time, still loving every minute of it. But, looking towards the day when I won't be working, but maybe, who knows, maybe I'll still be involved in some way, with the events anyway.
Well, congratulations to you, and thank you for 40 years.
Well, thank you, Dennis.
Now to wrap up this portion of the program, again, Nikki Risker, the Director of Human Resources at the Resource Center.
And once again, a heartfelt appreciation and thanks for all those who have achieved the milestones of years of service this year. And At this time, I'd like to pass the mic on to Tony Prinzi to bestow the Trainer of the Year, the Norma J. Smith, and the Joseph Trousseau Employee of the Year awards. Thank you.
Tony Prinzi is the Assistant Executive Director for Labor Management at the Resource Center.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm going to be presenting 3 awards. One's the Trainer of the Year, the Norma J. Smith, and the Employee of the Year. We had some great nominations this year. Superb candidates. The first award is for the Trainer of the Year award. It recognizes an individual who has provided either agency training or department training on more than one occasion and who shared this information and made significant differences in the way staff do their jobs and approach their jobs. The award is sponsored by the Resource Center and TRC Foundation. There's a monetary award that goes along with this. This individual is a 30-year employee who's being selected and it serves as a staff development specialist. This individual's nomination clearly states that staff enjoy and look forward to attend his trainings. His style of teaching encourages people to participate, interact, and is always available to anyone seeking his assistance and advice. His stories and experiences that he shares with his classes have always been educational, enlightening, and entertaining. The 2014 Trainer of the Year goes to John DePayne.
I had a moment with John DePayne in an interview following the formal celebration. John DePayne, congratulations on receiving the Trainer of the Year award for 2014. How do you feel about this?
It's really an honor. When you love what you do, it's not really work. It's just, it's just helping people have a great life.
You do a lot of teaching.
I do a lot.
And the commentary suggested that you really have a great teaching style. How did you develop this?
Well, I think it's just years of, I started working here as a direct support staff, and breaking things down in a way that people could understand really helped me. And then as I became a professional trainer, it just kind of grew from there, I guess.
Well, congratulations to you again.
Thank you, Dennis.
Nice to see you. Now again, Tony Prinzi for the next award during this 30th Annual Service Award Recognition Luncheon at the Resource Center.
The next award is the Norma J. Smith Memorial Award. Norma J. Smith worked for the agency back in the 80s to the early 90s. And it's for an individual who has at least 2 years of employment in a non-supervisory position. The recipient this year is a 3-year employee who serves as a DSP in one of our IRAs. She serves as a DSP in our Englewood residence. From the day she started, she began making a difference in the life of a resident. When she observed something she felt was not in the best interest, she had no problem speaking up and advocating for change. Our recipient has a strong sense of self-awareness. Earlier in the past year, she was working alone with a resident when the resident required CPR. She responded and performed CPR until paramedics arrived. She also assisted a resident moving out of the home during the past year. She spent many hours helping this resident search for appropriate apartment and help that person move. The 2014 Norma J. Smith awardee is Margaret Meek.
Margaret Meek spoke to me briefly as pictures were being taken at the conclusion of this 30th Annual Service Award Recognition Luncheon. You have received the Norma J. Smith Employee of the Year Award. Were you surprised?
Yes, I was. I'm a rather new employee, 3 years, and when I heard about it, I was kind of overwhelmed.
Well, what caused you to come to the Resource Center in the first place?
My husband was resident manager at the Faulkner home, and when we sold our restaurant, he put me to work at the Resource Center.
What was your restaurant?
The Village Restaurant in DeWittville.
And so now you are doing this and enjoying it?
I love it. I just can't wait to get to work and work with all the guys at Englewood, and we have a good time.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
Now again, Tony Prinzi, Assistant Executive Director for Labor Management at the Resource Center, to present the Joseph Trousseau Jr. Employee of the Year Award.
It honors the individual whose employment with TRC has directly enhanced the independence and the integration of individuals with disability, or honors an employee who consistently goes above and beyond the call of duty. This award is also sponsored by the Resource Center and TRC Foundation. Mr. Trousseau was unable to be here today. Some of the comments about the awardee: her dedication and compassion for the people that call their residence their home and motivate staff to express like values. She's involved in many agency groups to broaden her horizons. She is a member of the Chrono Scheduling Committee and also a member of the Frontline Supervisory Staff. She is committed to her profession, is being registered with NADSP, and becoming a nationally certified direct support professional. Staff feels she makes them feel valued and appreciated. She is all for the residents of TRC. She does anything that will accommodate health, well-being, and happiness to the residents. The individual for the Joseph Trousseau Employee of the Year Award is a 10-year employee who's the resident manager of Whitehill, Jennifer Dawson.
I spoke briefly with Jennifer Dawson following the conclusion of the formal ceremonies at this recognition luncheon. Jennifer, first, how do you feel about this?
Humbled.
Were you surprised that this happened?
Absolutely. I had absolutely no idea that anybody would nominate me for an award.
Tell me a little bit about your career here at the Resource Center and the work that you do.
I started as a DSP back in 2003. I worked as a staff trainer, then an assistant manager, then a site supervisor, and then back to a residence manager. So I've kind of done it all in residential.
And what are the rewards to you personally of working here?
I just like the people. I love being there for the staff. I love being there for the residents, helping people grow and learn and just live happy lives.
Thank you very much. And now, once again, Tony Prinzi.
That will conclude our program for today. Thank you.
Steve Watterson, just to conclude for a moment here, this is always such a meaningful ceremony, recognizing the contributions that so many people make to making the Resource Center work.
Yes, and what always amazes me at the fact that we have so many employees who have really made a career out of being at the Resource Center and working to support individuals with disabilities in living the most fulfilling and meaningful lives that they can. We heard a lot of nice things said about particularly the long-term employees here today, and I think it really shows that they all possess that dedication and compassion that makes doing their job possible and really, as our slogan says, makes a difference in people's lives.
Well, and you know, Steve, maybe we should put as a footnote, or the conclusion of today's program should be this: the Resource Center is hiring all the time, and you can go to the website or call the Resource Center's main number and find out about beginning your career here, perhaps.
That's well done. Or maybe our recruitment department should hire you on, Dennis, as a consultant. That's beautiful. Yes, everything we do in terms of jobs is done through our website now. Go to resourcecenter.org, and you can click on our job board and find out how to submit an application and see what types of positions are available right now.
And thank you all for sharing the vision today.